Paul. It's Nick Davies. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, Nick.
Brilliant. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. Very excited to learn more about Mutual Online. You've already given me some login details and I've gone through it. Lots of good things to discuss. Could I just start by getting a brief idea of who you are and what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I'm born and bred Worcester born.
Love it.
I'm a professional landlord and developer in my normal time, and came up with an idea about 4 years ago, which I've progressed to this point, really. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. You have a new website that you've been building, which I had the opportunity to test drive. Lots of great features. Could you tell me briefly what that is? And then I'd like to sort of maybe ask you some questions and see how you got to this point.
Yeah, certainly. Well, the website effectively provides mutual benefit for buyers, sellers and estate agents. For buyers, it provides the ability to see properties earlier in the process, so before they're actually marketed for sale. So it gives a better registered buyer experience from that point of view.
Yeah.
For potential sellers, it gives them the opportunity to see what market interest there may be before they necessarily move to the next step of actually instructing an agent and placing the property on the market.
Right.
For estate agents, it effectively gives them a funnel to receive, let's say, the sellers that will be interested in moving forward to instructing a sale of their property.
Yeah.
Each element gets a benefit from it, and that's the reason behind calling it mutual. It's all about creating that ethos, if you like, of providing a platform which has got mutual respect, creating mutual benefits.
Yeah. I really, really liked it when I came on. Lots of really good functionality. I'd never really, thought of the pre-market market at all beforehand. One of my first questions was actually, what were the benefits? And obviously, you listed them great there. Benefits for somebody looking for a house is that with this platform, you can log in and say, I want a house within this price range, within this radius. But also then some really good preferences, like I want a garage. I want it to be close to schools. I want it like a small garden, for example. And then there's lots of opportunities with places which have needs work doing, or it's unmodernized. So you can really get a bespoke profile for each house you do. I went through and I popped a house on. I really enjoyed it. The mutual, obviously, aspect. At first I just thought the buyers and the sellers, but also getting the estate agents involved as well. It seems like a great idea. When did you come up with this? Is this new, or is it something you've been thinking about for a while?
The journey has been about 5 years in the making, really.
Oh, right, yeah.
It actually started with a bit of a eureka moment, and the idea itself was totally different to what we now have. My background, if we go back into the past 20 years or so, I used to be a mortgage broker, financial services, etc. And my initial idea was a mortgage-based product, and got a little bit of traction on that with some outside interest from a building society. However, it didn't really progress any further because the regulations around financial services are so restrictive that it just wouldn't go anywhere.
Right.
But I progressed morphed into a new idea, which was more estate agency based, and from that, the idea then needed a platform in which to be launched upon.
Yeah.
And effectively, the Mutual Online platform is that platform for the idea to be launched upon. So the original idea is no longer there. The change in what that idea morphed into is still in the background and will probably become part of the mutual online experience once we some traction in the marketplace.
Yeah, definitely. No, as I said before, I was very impressed. Obviously, when I was searching for a house, we use the main ones, Zoopla, etc. But I was really impressed about the level of detail that was in this platform. There seems to be more options than there is in Zoopla or Rightmove, for example.
Yes.
And obviously, it literally took me 2 or 3 minutes to upload the property that I was displaying. Very intuitive. I also like the functionality whereby, obviously at first there's a tour. I love the tour because that obviously really helps a lot of people that aren't computer literate. I also like the features where you can get a message daily or weekly via SMS or email. So there's lots of opportunities there for, not just for someone buying and selling, but for, as you say before, an estate agent to collect a lot of data to really help, buying and selling the houses. So this has been in fruition for a few years, or is it just?
Well, I did have an abandoned first attempt, which the website just didn't really work functionally.
That's common, yeah.
Launched a couple of years ago, really.
Oh, right.
And effectively, it was back to the drawing board and reworked the whole thing so that it did work for everybody. And what you say about the Zooplas and Rightmoves and On the Market, or whatever,
sure.
We're not essentially a search portal. We're a sort of a combined registered buyer database, if you like, so that the agents, registered buyers, get the opportunity to see what the agents are bringing onto the site, as well as individual customers putting their own properties onto the site to be able to be seen.
Yeah.
So it gives a much better registered buyer experience from the point of view of if you register with an agent. Generally speaking, you might get contacted in the first month 2 or 3 times. The agent will phone up. We've got this property coming onto our books or whatever.
Yeah.
Beyond that point, you soon get forgotten about.
That's so true. That's very true.
And the problem is as well that you don't necessarily tell the agent exactly what you really want to see in terms of property. One, because you may not know at the start of your journey exactly what you're really looking for. And secondly, you don't want the agent sort of sending you everything. So
yeah,
you tend to hone down a little bit on what you're actually telling the agent you want, and also you may not actually know what you want. With this system, you're able to set up a number of different searches and have them saved and have the notifications come through to you. But you can also amend them along the way as well. So it makes the journey far simpler and more straightforward for a registered buyer, and not instead of not receiving much information from estate agents, they can curate exactly what information they want to receive in terms of the number of properties, and then they get to make the choice as to whether or not they want to progress that further to a viewing or whatever.
Yeah. No, I was very impressed. I like, I'm looking through the profile at the moment. When you go in, you set your profile, but you do make it clear that you can change this at any time. So at the moment, I'm logged in. I've chosen I'm a homeowner. My financial situation is mortgage and principal, and I'm looking to buy within 6 months. But obviously, I can change that to 9 or 3, or say that I'm, maybe in a few years or time, I may become a developer, in which case I'm looking for maybe cheaper houses which are more run down, with the view to rent. So there's just a lot of scope for opportunity here. Let me just have a quick look here. I'm looking through the tour. Yeah, so just to sort of summarize again, the benefits for a buyer is a much more bespoke idea of what you want. You can change it at any point. The benefits for the seller is that you just get to test the water before you're selling it. I love that. Could you maybe speak a little bit more upon that part of it?
Yeah, certainly. As a seller, you then get to see how many registered buyers on the system like or super like your property. And the difference between the two is like is I'm sort of mildly interested. Keep me up to date with this property.
Yeah.
The super like is I'm definitely interested. I want to know about this property the moment it's available to purchase.
Right.
So your contact details will be sent to the agent that's involved with that property as and when that property comes onto the market. So again, it's putting you in control from a buyer perspective, but from a seller perspective, they can see how many likes or super likes that they've got at any given time, and this is kept in real time. And effectively, it's a little bit like launching a ship on the sea.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it at low tide, and it's a little launching your house into the market may be a little bit like that. So it's a little bit of putting the toe in the water.
Yeah.
Testing out what the reaction is, and typically the customer experience with estate agents, if they're looking to put their property on the market, they're having to rely on the agent saying, I've got X number of registered buyers on my books, and they'll be interested, blah blah.
Yeah.
This actually demonstrates to the prospective seller just what the level of interest may be, and it may well be that it may generate no interest, for instance.
Sure.
So have they priced their property correctly?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the system sort of allows them the opportunity to get free appraisals through mutual member agencies,
right?
And effectively, by doing that, they get extra photographs onto their listing. They get an agent verified logo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it demonstrates to the buyers that they are definitely interested in selling their property.
Yeah.
They get 300 characters of property description written by the agent.
Sure.
So their listing becomes enhanced.
Yeah.
They get the opportunity then of sort of road testing the estate agents that they may consider to sell their property, and in doing that, it's a funnel for the agents to have got early interest from the prospective sellers.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, I can see why you call it mutual. It really is all encompassing. I haven't seen anything like this before. You must be really excited. What's the sort of the next step for you?
Well, the initial step is launching in Worcester with a free 3-month trial to estate agencies.
Oh, okay, good idea. Yeah.
So what we want to do is take the journey a little bit slowly first. We want to make sure that it's working well, not just for the buyers and the sellers, but also for the estate agents, who essentially we want to keep central to to the whole experience.
Yeah.
This isn't a site where we're trying to put buyers and sellers in touch with each other. It's a site which is bringing together buyers and sellers, but through an agent of choice,
yeah.
when that's ready.
Done the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And moving on from there, once we feel that we've covered any minor hiccups that there may be, releasing it out nationwide, albeit that we will look to do so on a county by county basis.
Yeah.
So we want to grow it in the right way, but once we start to get that traction, the next stage is to develop the customer experience into an app. Whilst it's mobile responsive at the moment, we'd like to get some of those features a little bit sharper for the end customer in terms of being able to use it on their mobile phone a lot easier than we can.
I think it would translate really well to an app, definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially with the extra functionality that you can have from an app, with push functions, location based as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be the next progression, and what we want to do is make sure that when we make that progression, that we've learned any lessons from the experience of having a real trial of the whole site in terms of sellers and agents. So gaining feedback in all of those directions to make sure the journey is as good and smooth as possible.
Yeah, no, I like that. Taking the time, getting the data. The amount of information that you can collect probably really builds a nice profile of Worcester itself. But then as you expand, a good profile about the surrounding counties and obviously the country by the end of the rollout.
Yes. Yes. I mean, one of the things which is still very relevant in house moving and estate agency is that most house sales are to buyers that are within a 20-mile radius of your property.
Okay, all right.
It's still, I think the figures are about 80-85% of sales are still to purchasers that are within that 20-mile radius.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So whilst it's not national immediately, you're not necessarily missing out a massive amount by it not being.
Yeah, I mean, it being local is probably one of its strengths then. Obviously, there's the push to go global in a lot of ways, over the last maybe 10 years, with the real advent of social media and everything. But we are noticing that in a lot of industries, again, is concentrating on local and global sort of takes care of itself. So it's good that you do have this, very bespoke, localized, market to really open up.
Especially in the estate agency, the last couple of years, there's been a big push on what they call prop tech, and there's been literally announcements every other week in the estate agency news channels of new game changers, disruptor, and whilst we may well be at some point or another, there is no, we don't, I'm confident enough that we don't need to try and boast and big ourselves up in a way which makes us look ridiculous. Which so many businesses startups seem to go down that route of wanting to try and puff themselves up too much, and then get it's like the pin in the balloon sort of scenario. Whereas we'd rather sort of demonstrate that the whole thing works first, and then start talking about it afterwards. really.
It seems what you're doing is very customer focused rather than, as you're saying, having an idea and just pushing it down people. You're waiting for the response and the reaction and then tailoring it to that, which I definitely think is the way to go. Consumer centric is definitely better than people saying, la not listening, this is what you're having. That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I also sort of from a philosophical point of view, I guess the journey for me was more about proving that the idea worked.
Oh yeah.
Rather than necessarily from a profit perspective, if you like. I've always had the thought that if you build something which is useful, the profit will follow, or the business will follow as a result of it, rather than being profit-led or results-driven, which doesn't necessarily take that into account.
Yeah.
So that's where, say, the ethos comes from in many ways. It's that mutual respect builds mutual trust, creating mutual benefits.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what we will end up achieving.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's got a lot of legs, and I would definitely use it again. So that's ideally going to be pushed over the next maybe 6 months. Is that right?
Yeah, we're aiming to launch in February.
Oh, okay, great.
And so I've been out and had a few meetings with agencies so far.
Yeah.
They are a difficult bunch to get in front of.
Yeah.
But of all the ones I have got in front of so far, the reaction has been pretty much like your own. Essentially, I've had no refusals so
Brilliant.
far.
Yeah.
So that bodes well from a point of view of actual launch. But agents like the safety of numbers a little bit, so they don't want to be the only one
Yeah.
utilising this. So my job in the next few weeks is to make sure that there's enough agencies that are ready to trial this. And I mean, it is a bit of a no-brainer that essentially they get 3 months free use. If they bring on any, new instructions in that time, it will work for them perfectly. But the site itself doesn't just work from a perspective of bringing customers to the agents. It's about the agents then being able to use the system to put their existing appraisals onto the site.
Yeah.
In the same way as you did from a customer perspective, the agents typically get 1 in 3, 1 in 2, 1 in 3 instructions from their number of appraisals that they do.
Okay.
Because typically a customer will want 3 appraisals from agents before deciding on a particular agent. Generally speaking, that agent, it's only the winning agent who will tell their registered buyers of that particular property.
Yeah.
By an agent being able to say to their prospective vendor, let's pop this onto Mutual. We can do a little bit of pre-marketing. You can see as a customer how much level of interest is in the property, and then make a decision on which agent you want to use.
Yeah.
It gives the customer a little bit of extra reason, if you like, to go with that particular agent. They can get to see what the level of interest is before necessarily pushing the the boat out and instructing that agent.
Yeah.
So it should, any agent that's offering this, it should give them an advantage over any agent that isn't offering this.
Yeah.
In the principle of a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
So if you can demonstrate to your prospective seller that you have a very definitive number of likes and super likes ahead of you in terms of buyer interest, whereas if you went with an agent who hasn't got mutual, you're winging it on the basis of whatever that agent happens to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, we've got some customers who are just dying to buy your property, Mr. Vendor.
Yeah.
So that's another way in which agencies can utilise the benefit of mutual.
Yeah, it's great. There seems to be a lot more flexibility and visibility.
Transparency is very important, I think, because I've had the experience in the past as a prospective buyer, where you've registered with an agent for a property or properties of a certain ilk. One has come up on the market with that particular agent. You haven't been notified of it yourself, and before you know it, there's a sale board and a sold notice on that property. And I've been guilty of it in the past. I've thought, has the agent had a backhander?
Oh, right, yeah.
Because that's the natural assumption that you think, well, I haven't been contacted on that, and I know that that was the very type of property I described to the agent when I registered with them.
Yeah.
Now, 99 times out of 100, estate agents aren't taking a backhander for such things. It's purely the fact that estate agents tend to work very much in the present moment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So this system allows all registered buyers to have the same access.
Yeah.
Rather than just those ones that are in the agent's head at that present moment.
That's amazing. It's like, I haven't come across anything like it. It seems quite revolutionary, really, because maybe I'm looking for a property and I'm quiet for a few months, but as long as I'm still getting the SMS or the emails through every now and then, when the agent puts something on and that does tick all my boxes, I've got the opportunity then to seize the moment and get it before, because a lot of home buyers and home sellers are looking to do it as quickly as possible, but also get in where they want to get in, and to do it on their own terms as well. So especially when you're looking for a property and you see that's everywhere, sometimes you think, well, that's the house I want. And it's kind of scary that so many people, you see on Zoopla, for example, it's had 2,000 views, there's no chance I'm going to get it. But the whole pre-market part of it sort of allows you to sort of, maybe be in a bit of a club where you're actually getting the best houses tailored to you on a time frame that that you want. So that's great.
Indeed. And the other aspect which we haven't covered is the off-market side of things, which is the ability for the sellers to not necessarily put all their eggs in one basket in terms of going straight onto Rightmove or Zoopla, through an estate agent. The off-market allows a more discreet ability to market your property in the first place, especially if you don't necessarily want friends or family or neighbours knowing your business ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
it's very common as well. That.
Indeed. So if you can have this area where you've got the early buyer interest, you then instruct an agent but you instruct the agent to offer that property in the off-market section, so it allows those registered buyers the first access to that property.
Yeah.
If you've got a sale at that point, that's great. Works for the agent, works for you as a seller, works for the buyer. If you haven't got a seller at that point, there's no great panic. You can still launch into the open market at a later point. You've got a second bite at the cherry.
Yeah, and you've just got the information that you didn't have at the start too.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
So works, and having that ability to go from a pre-market into an off-market situation. If you haven't sold at that point, you can then move it into the wider open market. Makes absolute intuitive sense to anybody that's looking to sell their property. Test the toe in the water first. Once you've got the nibbles and the bites of interest, offer it available to those interested buyers. If none of those have come through and been totally hooked, then you can go into the open market and progress your sale through that medium.
That's great. It sounds really, really interesting, Paul. I'm looking forward to actually monitoring how this goes. I'd love to hear back from you in the future too. How can people... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, really, thank you for testing the site for me as well. I thought it would be a good experience, to sort of see firsthand what somebody who doesn't know you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In many ways. So appreciate your feedback on
no that. Problem at all. Yeah, it's all positive from my end. And I'm quite critical as well, but I really like the idea here. I really wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all. How can people find you? It's Paul Fuller on LinkedIn. I can put links in the descriptions. But what sort of how would you like people to contact you or find more information?
They can give me a call on my mobile number direct, 0788 635 6963, or email me at team@mutuallyyours.info.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much for your time today, Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll put everything together and send it to you for approval, be in contact, and then once you're happy, then we'll go live.
That's great. Really appreciate the opportunity, Nick, and thanks for the interview process. Was very easy, really.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Easy. So
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for saying that.
Very, very comfortable from my perspective in that regard.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Brilliant. All the best then, Paul. Thank you. Take care.